The Trump administration is shutting down an LGBTQ suicide prevention hotline, as statistics show that LGBTQ young people are 4 times more likely to contemplate suicide, with trans teens at highest risk.
Yeah, I have to say, this is a disgusting story that deserves bipartisan condemnation. Makes me very angry and sad. I'm not gay myself, but I don't have to be something to have empathy for their plight. But having said that, I've been fighting for gay rights, also known as human rights, for my entire career. My late aunt was gay. She was one of the first lesbian couples to be artificially inseminated back in the 1980s, and she was a pioneer in fighting for equality and helped raise me right. Her daughter, my cousin, is also gay and is now married to a woman with kids of her own by the same process. And perhaps most importantly, my firstborn child is gay. So I get a little defensive when MAGA wants to marginalize this community and put their lives at risk. And that is not hyperbole. So let's dive deeper into the story, including a brawl that broke out on CNN this morning where a bigoted MAGA moron got put in his place by facts, common sense, and basic human decency. So go ahead, hit subscribe to Really American Media while I take a few deep breaths and do my best to cover this story without screaming into the camera at you. All right, let's start with the backstory here on how the LGBTQ plus services got added to the National Suicide Hotline in the first place.
The CEO of the Trevor Project, the organization contracted to create and help run the hotline, calls this a devastating decision. They join me now. James Black, welcome. We should tell people Donald Trump signed the legislation that created this specialized service in the first place. So what's changed?
That is correct. This legislation in the specialized services was signed in October 2020 as part of the National Suicide Hotline Designation Act. And as part of that act, HHS, they were directed to develop specialized strategies for high-risk communities, veterans, Spanish speakers, and LGBTQ plus youth. And this was an evidence-based, data-backed decision, and it had strong bipartisan support, and everyone was so proud of it. And for the past 5 years, Congress has approved these funds over and over again without fail. What's changed? What's changed is that folks do not understand the statistics that you just read off.
Yeah, correct. People don't seem to understand those statistics. And you heard it right. Trump actually did something good back in 2020. And he helped start this program that has received bipartisan support ever since. So what really did change? Well, MAGA wants to own the libs. They like punching down. They want to hurt the gay and trans community to score points with their base. It's disgusting, and it's why they've come up with this BS excuse to pretend that, no, they're not singling them out.
This is what the Trump administration says. Look, they can still call the generalized hotline. What do you say?
I say no. So, for example, when a veteran calls their specialized hotline, they need to speak to someone who understands military stress. They need to PTSD, family separation, combat stress. When an LGBTQ plus youth calls the line, they need someone who understands LGBTQ plus youth stress and trauma, such as family rejection, homelessness. That is exactly why we have these specified lines with tailored interventions created, because tailored interventions actually increase their survival rate. And this is not about a special line or special treatment. This is about effective treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Specialized treatment is needed for a specialized group. Duh. And this blatantly bigoted decision is causing anger and will literally have life or death consequences.
And what we're hearing, the feeling that we're hearing the most is fear. Fear and outrage. Parents are outraged, supportive adults are outraged, but our youth, they are terrified.
Will people die, do you think?
Absolutely. I do not want to sugarcoat this. This is a fatal decision, and it's going to create a significant care gap with the youth who depend on these services year in and year out.
Yeah, people will die, which seems to be a new theme in Trump world with moves like this. So I find it really disgusting when a MAGA talking head like Scott Jennings goes on CNN and tries to mansplain this all to SE Cupp, who is a conservative, but also happens to be gay herself.
Things. Number one, as you pointed out, the hotline, the 988 service still exists.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, the only thing happening here is that they're cutting ties with this group, the Trevor Project, which a lot of conservatives have problems with because of the way they handle some of their interactions with youth who call them, and the ideology that they push out. And
So you're admitting it's political?
I'm admitting that what they did is cut ties with the Trevor Project and keep the 988 service open so anyone can call that. So I don't see that any services have been cut. They are against this Trevor Project, I guess, that has been operating this particular silo, but you can still call the thing and talk.
But a service is
Yes,
being
that's-
cut. A specific
Yes.
service
No,
where
you can literally call the 988 hotline.
Where if you're LGBTQ, you don't get then transferred to someone who. Let me finish. To someone.
You interrupted me, but go ahead.
To someone who
And
is
it's your
a
favorite thing
member in
to
the.
interrupt me and then say I'm interrupting you.
No,
Go ahead.
who's a member of the community and can speak to these issues to a group of people who are disenfranchised, in many cases ashamed, and don't feel comfortable talking about their depression, their suicide, their sexuality, to their parents, to their friends, to their teachers. This was a lifeline for a very specific group of people who have very few people. If I called in, I could talk to basically anyone, that's true. But this is a group of people who needs a certain kind of advisor and counselor to understand the unique problems that they are confronting. And so this just feels cruel and, as you said, political.
Nice job, SE Cupp. I will give credit where credit is due. That sort of ignorant mega trash needs to be taken to the curb every day of the week. And that little exchange right there led to the CNN host asking this question.
Is cruelty the point? Is it a feature or a bug?
Well, here's the short answer to that question. Yes. Here's the long answer. Yes. And thankfully, Van Jones then chimes in with the final nail in the coffin for this garbage excuse that Trump is not going after this community with this cruel and hateful decision.
Would love to know what's wrong with this Trevor Project. Here's what I would say. If there is something wrong with the Trevor Project, they should find a different group to give these young people special help, because it really is the case. I mean, I grew up in rural West Tennessee on the edge of a small town. Things haven't changed that much. And so I think that if you don't like one service provider, you can find another. When you don't find the other, then it seems like you're just picking on this group.
And it seems like it because that's what they're doing. They're picking on a maligned group, punching down, causing hurt, harm, and death to our fellow Americans. Because here's the thing about gay and trans people. They're people. And MAGA is spitting in their faces and would soon love to be pissing on their graves with this move. And it's absolutely unacceptable. And it's un-American. So we have to spread this story around. And by the way, we have to let this community know that the Trevor Project still exists. They're not going anywhere, and they can still be reached for help by calling 866-488-7386. You can text START to 678-678 or online at trvr.org, where you can also make a donation to help support their efforts. Get angry about this, stay angry about it, and get vocal. From the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve podcast, I'm Steve Harness for Really American Media.